What's up, guys? The final score is back again this week. We had a couple of weeks off, but getting over the holidays and getting ready for tonight. This is what we're going to be talking about tonight. Matthew's with me. We're going to be talking about this. Can't get any more famous line than this. We're going to be talking about the. Yep,
Talking about the what?
talking about the playoffs.
Oh, you wait on me? Oh,
No, did you hear that?
no, I didn't. It broke up a lot.
Okay. Well, Matt, I hope everybody else heard that. It was. You
So
remember Jim Moore?
yeah.
When he did the whole thing about playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I just played right there. So, um, yeah, we're back again. We're gonna talk. We're gonna recap Week 18, the final week of the regular season of the NFL for this year. It's hard to believe it's already over, but yeah, we're in the playoffs, and a lot
Playoffs.
going on. A lot going on. I'm still, even though we didn't get in, I'm still representing my Steelers tonight. I got my Ben Roethlisberger jersey on. Um, yeah, talking about the Steelers, and we'll talk about Matthew's team in a minute. Uh, Steelers did everything they could to get in, but when you get to this point of the season, you got to depend on somebody else to get you in. Then yeah, you're not. That's not good. So they had to win. Have had to have New England lose, which Buffalo beat them, and then you had to have the Dolphins lose, which the Jets, who were quarterbacked by a former Baltimore Raven, Joe Flacco, couldn't beat Miami with a third string quarterback. So was that a little bit of chicanery trickery there with Joe Flacco saying, "Guess what? I'm not going to beat this team and let the Steelers get in the playoffs." But like I said, if they hadn't started off 2-6, uh, then they would have, they could have avoided all that. There were several games they should have won that if they just won one, they'd have been in the playoffs. But definite improvement going from 2-6 and finish went 7 out of 9 to go 9-8. Mike Tomlin has another season. He's got the streak. He's never had a losing season, but everybody wants to say how impressive that streak is. He's never had a losing season, and I guess it is in a way. But when you're coming up short, yeah, I mean,
Every year.
if you go every year just over 500 and not make the playoffs, then how impressive is that? Um, yeah, give him his kudos for turning. I'll tell you this: from when they were 2-6, I never thought that they would finish over 500. And to get to 9-8, that's a heck of a job. Kenny Pickett came along. Offensive line looked better, which meant Najee Harris and Warren, they ran a lot better. Uh, Pickens at wide receiver is going to be special. The Pickens. Yeah, try saying that like 4 times in a row.
Pick the
Pickett to
picking.
Pickens.
Pick the picking.
That
Yeah.
connection could be special in the future. Um, and also, I'm looking now to see if we've got any comments yet because some people are coming in. But uh, their defense played good. So you know, it's something to look forward to. But we just can't. Pittsburgh cannot get off to slow starts like that again. And I did talk to another Steeler fan last night, and he was talking about when they went 2-6. They started off 2-6. He said, and they just messed themselves up by finishing this high because it messed them up for a draft pick. And I was like, what do you expect them to do? Just tank the season? You expect these guys to just lay down and say, okay, we're 2-6. We're not going to try to get better so we can get a better draft pick. I mean, it's not like they were contending for the playoffs to the last game. So, I mean, you can't ask somebody to do that. He eventually agreed with me, but yeah. And you look at Steelers now, they get the 17th pick in the draft. Plus, with the Chase Claypool trade and the fact that Miami uh, had to forfeit their first round pick because of some tampering issues last year, Pittsburgh gets Chicago's second round pick, which is pretty much a first round pick. It would be having the last pick of the first round. So, uh, two first round picks to go this year. So, looking forward to see what Pittsburgh can do next year. Before we go any further, we're going to talk about the Giants. And he's sitting back there being all quiet now. He's probably gloating right now because Giants are in the playoffs, and Giants, they played their B team Sunday against the Eagles because they were, you know, they couldn't gain anything by beating the Eagles, and you want to have you guys healthy. So, Matthew, how
Yep.
about the Giants?
How about them Giants, man? I think we look a lot better than we did in the past few years. I said right before Christmas, all I want for Christmas, football wise, is us to make it to the playoffs. Because past few years it wasn't even a discussion. In
Man,
January,
well, wasn't even close. Y'all weren't even sniffing the playoffs.
no, not at all. And it feels good to be back in there. No matter how far we make it, I'm not saying we got to win the Super Bowl. Just how far we go, just learn from it, and I think it's going to get better next year with the system that Brian Dable and the other coaches has got.
Well, I mean, you're definitely on a upward trend right now, and the first year coach has put a little bit of life into the Giants. He's got them believing, and we're
Yeah,
going to talk a little bit more about them once we get into our playoff schedule, and then we'll do our picks and talk about each game. Uh, First, before we get into the NFL, Monday night, did you watch the national championship game?
I did. I was trying to decide if it was a championship game or what, because it didn't feel like a championship game.
Dude, I'm telling you what, people have been talking all week about how TCU didn't deserve to be there. Look at that. That just proves that Alabama should have been there. Uh, and talking about some of them bringing up uh, their conference, how many players their conference has in the NFL, and how many the SEC and the Big Ten. Well, guess what? Wasn't wasn't TC didn't TCU beat Michigan?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, they beat
later in the
Michigan in the
season.
semifinals. That's a Big
Yeah,
Ten team. So guess what? They beat what everybody considered the number two team in the nation. That what happened Monday night at any given time could have happened, and it has happened. I mean, you look. Let's go look at past games. You look at one of the Super Bowls. What was it like? 1987, 1988. The Redskins and the Broncos. And I know Denver fans, you don't want me to bring this up, but I'm going to bring another one up too. Denver goes up 10-0 in the first quarter and then gets blitzed. It's 42 to ends up being 42 to 10. Washington. Did anybody say Denver didn't belong in the Super Bowl? No.
no,
Denver goes the next year, plays the San Francisco 49ers. They get bombed in that. I don't remember the final score. I know San Francisco put up 55 points on them. Did anybody say Denver didn't belong in there? No. It can happen any given day. Yeah, TCU is not used to being in the national spotlight. They were unranked coming into this year, and they end up getting to the national championship game. So there was probably some jitters. They were probably nervous. And Georgia, don't Georgia is a good team. There's a reason why Georgia didn't lose a game this year playing in the
yeah,
SEC. Georgia's a good team, and Ohio State had them on the ropes to a last-second field goal. But any given night, that could have happened to anybody. Anybody that played Georgia that night. Georgia was fired up. Did you see the Georgia players would get so bored that they were on the
eating
sideline
chicken.
eating chicken? That was wrong.
Yeah,
As
it
a
was
coach,
a
I
little
would have had something to
disrespectful.
say about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
would have
was
had something to say about
disrespectful.
that. Yeah,
And you know what?
very.
Listening to that game, even I forgot who announced it, but even the announcers was throwing shade at TCU.
Yeah,
Like, did you pick up on that?
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's been like that. I mean, it was funny how nothing was said about it except TCU beat Michigan. TCU beat
Yeah.
Michigan until they started getting blown away, and it just changed. Everything changed. It went to
Yep.
well, TCU. You really start to wonder should TCU have been here, and I'm like, they did everything they had to do to get
Yeah.
there, and then I mean the fact I could see if TCU got beat in the semifinals like that by Michigan, them saying, well, TCU didn't belong here. I could see that. I'd probably go along with that.
Yeah.
But they beat Michigan. Nobody seems to care about that. They beat Michigan and got to the championship game. So, I mean, you're not gonna convince me that TCU didn't belong there. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
they definitely belong there. They put in the work. They got the work done, and they got there just like any other team going in a championship
Exactly.
game would be. Whether it's
But
Alabama, TCU, Duke, whoever.
but now what they're gonna do is teams like TCU and if you're not in like one of the major power conferences, and granted they're expanding to 12 teams in the playoffs. So and somebody made the comment last night when I was talking to some people. He had made the comment. This guy made a comment a couple of years ago that the first year Alabama doesn't make the playoffs, they'll expand to 12 teams because Alabama didn't make the playoffs. And he was right.
Hmm.
He was right. It happened. But yeah, I mean, congratulations to Georgia. Georgia definitely deserved it. I was glad to see them
Yeah.
back to back national champions. Uh, they definitely had the best team in college football, no doubt about it. It was they didn't leave any doubt either.
No.
But let's move on.
Real quick, going kind
Yeah,
of
go ahead.
backtracking just a little bit. Didn't you? Okay, who, teams that got blown out in a championship. Clemson did that to Alabama 1 year, correct?
I don't think Clemson blew them out because the one time that Clemson beat them was a last second touchdown.
Or
That was
was it?
now
Okay.
you're probably thinking in the semifinals they blew out somebody in the semifinals. I can't remember who that was. Maybe you Clemson fans out there, yeah, I'm sure y'all will know.
Yeah.
But there was somebody in the semifinals they blew out.
It
But
was
yeah,
one of them bigger games.
they when they
They,
beat Alabama in the championship game, Deshaun Watson threw a touchdown right there at the end to win the game. Um, Gosh, who was that guy who threw the touchdown to? I could see it just like it was yesterday. I bet Deshaun Watson wishes that he was back at Clemson though. Um,
yeah, the way he played last week.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, I mean that's just going to be a discussion everybody's going to have for a long time.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
Looking at some of the news in the NFL, what do you think about Derek Carr leaving the Raiders? He pretty much went on social media today and said goodbye to the Raiders. So um, he's probably going to be traded.
Yeah, most likely. You still got. I don't think he's gonna get a big long term contract from anybody. But he'll definitely be signed for a good 2 years with
I mean,
somebody.
if they trade him, which I think they're going to do, somebody will. There's plenty of teams out there that need a quarterback. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
Houston needs one. Uh, you might as well say the Jets, which they say Zach Wilson is. They're going to stick with Zach Wilson. The Jets need one. Uh, Tennessee, their
Yeah,
quarterback
Tennessee
situation.
does.
I know they drafted Malik Willis, but the fact that you instead of starting Malik Willis, you signed a guy off somebody else's practice squad 10 hours before the game and started him. Um, yeah, that says Malik Willis is not what you're thinking right now, at least.
I think
Um,
he's going to the Saints.
Saints. You think so?
Yep, I think so.
Okay.
They
Um,
need one. They need a quarterback.
yeah, breaking news, and it's not really breaking. We pretty much figured it. Um, Lamar Lamar Jackson is out this week, which we totally expect that. Said his knee is still unstable. He's got a grade 2 PCL sprain that's forcing him to miss the last 5 games. I'm still in good spirits as I continue with treatments on the road to recovery. I wish I could be out there with my guys more than anything, but I can't give 100% of myself to my guys and fans. I'm still hopeful we have a chance. Has not practiced since week 13 when they beat the Broncos.
Ooh.
So Tyler Huntley will be the starter starting his first playoff game this week. And we'll get to that in a little while too. We'll talk about our playoff picks. But yeah, there's a lot, and we'll talk about that with the whole quarterback situation. Um, all right, recap. Let's do our Week 18 recap, and we'll go through these. We'll kind of breeze through some of these games. Texans and the Colts.
I didn't even watch it.
Well, I'll tell you this: the funny thing about this, and it's so good. I mean, this is one of those stick it to the man stories right here. Lovie Smith, who was the head coach for the Texans, he pretty much knew he was going to be fired after this game. I mean, I think. And what is the deal with the Texans and only giving a coach 1 year? I mean, the Texans have made some of the most boneheaded moves in the last, the whole DeAndre Hopkins trade. Uh, you know, that was one of the boneheaded trade I've ever seen in my
Mm.
life. But you had Randy Culley last year, a first time coach, hadn't coached before. You got rid of him after a year, so you go hire Lovie Smith. And I'm sorry, Houston, whoever your general manager is, and the fact that I don't know his name says all you need to know. But you don't have talent on that team. You've got some rookies that could come along, but you don't have a lot of talent on that team. There's a reason why you were contending for the number one pick in the draft. It wasn't the coaching. And believe me, I'm not the biggest Lovie Smith fan in the world, but the guy has proven he took Chicago to a Super Bowl with Rex Grossman at quarterback. I mean, and but here's the funny thing right here. So the Colts take the lead, 31-24. Time's running out, 50 seconds left. Fourth down. And Houston throws the ball in the end zone, scores a touchdown. So, they're going to tie it up going overtime, right? Wrong. Lovie Smith says, guess what? We're going for two. We're going for the win right here. And they get it. So you're wondering why I'm saying what is the big deal with the stick to the man here? Well, guess what? Chicago lost to the Vikings. So by Houston winning and Chicago losing, that moved Houston to number 2 pick in the draft and Chicago to number 1. So Lovie Smith pretty much said, guess what? You're going to fire me. I'm going to cost you the number 1 pick in the draft. So, yeah, good job, Lovie Smith. Which he probably saved the Texas front office a lot of screwing up. They would have managed to screw up the number 1 draft pick somehow. So, but yeah, the Texans beat the Colts. So, like I said, and the Vikings pretty much beat the Bears really bad, 29-13. And that was the battle for the number 1 draft pick. That was about all you could say about that. So, um, yeah, those games. I mean, the Vikings and Matthew will take really big interest in this. The Vikings are the worst division champs outside. Well, I won't say division champs. I'll say the worst 13-win NFL team I've ever seen.
Their defense, man.
I mean, you're. We said it over and over again. I've said it over and over again. you lost to Dallas 40-3. You had to come back from 33 to nothing down to the Colts. Why were you down 33 nothing to the Colts to start with? Um, they're just not a team that I'd be like scared of. I don't. I mean, the Giants are going in there Sunday or whenever they play them, and I'd be like, if I'm the Giants, you just barely beat us the first time. I'm not scared of you. I'm not intimidated by you. It's not like going to Minnesota is going to intimidate us going to your field. But
Mm-mm.
no, there's some there's something. Dalvin Cook is not the running back he used to be. Um, you got Jefferson there, but Jefferson's good. Cousins does
Yeah.
okay, but I mean I don't know. Vikings is not Vikings. If they make it past this week, I don't see them getting past the divisional round at all. I see them
Oh
getting
no.
blown out in the divisional round by whoever they play. But
Well, Stevie, question. So
Mhm.
Minnesota's been in the playoffs almost every year for the past 4 or 5 years, correct?
Something like that, yeah, they've been there.
If they don't get it this year, how much? If you were the Vikings head coach, would you keep Kirk Cousins? Do you think he's the issue? We all know he flops in the playoffs every year.
I think that would be something that I would have to look into.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I
Because
would have
maybe
to
he just
consider.
maybe he just ain't that big,
But
big boy game hitter.
here's the thing, though: do you want to get rid of Cousins and go? And they're not going to be able. Well, I don't know what they're. Let me see something. Do you want to go with a young rookie quarterback and start over with Jefferson there, or do you want to try to make a trade for, maybe would you really be even any better off with Derek Carr?
I was just about to say that Derek Carr going in there for 2 3 years. During
Because
that
I'm
two three
looking,
years,
I'm
you
looking at
jump
the
him.
Minnesota right now. They didn't have any trades, so Minnesota would pick 28th if everything stayed like it was right now. So you're not going to be able to. If there's a quarterback, they would have to trade up for one of these. I guess they're going to say like Bryce Young is going to be
Yeah,
number one, or the Ohio State quarterback is going to be up there. But they'll be gone by the time Minnesota gets them unless they trade up. But do you go with a veteran quarterback? I mean, are you really going to be better off with Carr than Cousins? I mean, I think they're tit for tat right there.
yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but I think that question is going to have to come up after this
Oh yeah,
season
definitely. Cause
because he did the same thing with Washington.
oh yeah,
Um,
yeah,
then we had the Ravens and the Bengals, which I did think, oh my gosh, the Bengals coin toss celebration. I don't know if you heard about that. Did you
yeah,
you hear about it?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty funny. And Chad Ochocinco was the one that told him to do it. They did it, which Joe Mixon had the coin. And anytime you have an item that you use, the NFL is going to fine you for that. So
yeah.
yeah, he could expect to be uh he's expected to be fined for that one. Um, so the Bengals win 27-16. So no, look, the whole deal it, with the NFL, and I know this was unfortunate and circumstances that the NFL has never had to deal with before. But the fact that you're going to say the Bengals could win the AFC North and then have to play Baltimore in the playoffs at Baltimore, depending on a coin flip, is ludicrous. Like Mike Tyson would say, it's ludicrous. Um, if they're the winners of the division, they need to be playing at home. That's one of the reasons you freaking you win the division is so you can play a home game. Look at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's got probably the worst record out of any team in the playoffs, and they're playing at home because they won their division. They won the well, it's between them and the Jaguars, I'm sure. Jaguars, but you see what I mean though. You
Yeah.
got a bad record and you're playing at home, but the Bengals win their division and you want them to flip a coin? Nah, doesn't work that way. NFL, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, did you see the? And we're getting off track a little, but it's still, um, if the Bills and the Chiefs play in the AFC Championship game, it's going to be played in Atlanta now.
Atlanta. Yeah. Mercedes Field.
Yep. So
Yeah.
no home field advantage for either team there, which, I can see that. I can understand that because, but a coin flip for somebody that won their division is that's just beyond me. Ah, moving on. Who else? Who was next? Panthers get a late field goal to beat the Saints 10-7 in the I don't care game of the week. I don't know. And Miami and the Jets. Oh my gosh. 11-6. Nobody wanted to win that game. I mean, nobody wanted to win that game. But Flacco, of course, says, you know what? Steelers are counting on me. They've got Dolphins have Skylar Thompson in, their third string quarterback. And it was just, I don't know. That was just like watching paint dry. Um, and it's gonna be this pretty much the same this weekend for the Dolphins. I think it's not going to be pretty. I'm sorry, Dolphins fans, but Ashley Taylor, if you're out there listening, I'm sorry, but Robert Matthews. I know you're a Dolphins fan, but it's not going to be pretty. Um, but yeah, 11-6. Dolphins beat the Jets. They move on to the playoffs. But this is a Dolphins team that a few weeks ago we were talking about how they could win, they could contend for the AFC East with the Bills. But one thing I'm glad, Matthew, and I was wondering how they were going to do it.
Hmm.
Tua, Tua has no business playing in this
Yeah.
game. He did once he went out that last time. You're talking about 3 concussions, I think, in a year. Once he went out with that third one, they should have just said, you know what, we're putting you on injury reserve. You're out for the year. You need to figure out what you're going to do. Because 3 concussions in a year, that's bad. I mean, that's not good at all. You had two in like 2 weeks. So Dolphins, you know, say what you want to. He did not clear protocol. He would not be playing this week. You're going to have a lot of first-time quarterbacks in this playoffs this year. A lot of inexperienced quarterbacks in this wild card round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right, then we move on to the Patriots and the Bills, and what an emotional game that was. The Bills playing uh, the first game since that Monday night game with Damar Hamlin went out. Of course, Hamlin. They got good news that week. Hamlin was off the ventilator, was able to talk to them, FaceTime them, and they showed pictures of him watching the game with both thumbs up. Now he is out of the hospital. I'm hearing he's home and he's going to be okay, which is great news. But man, what an emotional day! And then the opening kickoff, Naheem Hines, former NC State Wolfpack, takes it all the way to the house for the touchdown. And I had one person text me said, that was pretty amazing, but it didn't look like the Patriots were trying too hard to stop him. I was like, no, I'll get out of here with that. That's not right. I mean, say what you want to about Belichick, but Belichick wanted to make the playoffs. And then Naheem Hines comes back again and takes another one back. Two kick returns for a touchdown in the same game. And the Patriots put up a good fight. I mean, they were actually up. I think it was 17-14. And then Naheem Hines took the second one back, and that was it. Buffalo pulls ahead and gets the win 35-23. So the Patriots are out of the playoffs. I was looking, and I'm trying to think who the third team was that they were talking about. The Steelers, the Patriots, and who was the other one? that didn't make the playoffs. The Packers.
Yeah.
This is the first time in a long time that none of the three have made the playoffs. So, yeah, new guard coming through. I guess these young teams are coming through. Then you had Falcons and the Buccaneers, and Tom Brady plays what a half. They were up at the half, and take Brady out, and the Falcons do what they want to. Then they get the win 30-17. Didn't really matter. I know rookie quarterback Desmond Ritter came in for play for the Falcons and played a good game. So they may be looking at you may be looking at Desmond Ritter as your start quarterback for Atlanta next year. Let's see who's next. Rams and Seahawks. And this was an important game playoff wise because the Seahawks win and Packers lose and the Seahawks are in the playoffs. But, I don't know if they'll give him comeback player of the year, inspirational player of the year, or what kind of award. But Geno Smith needs to get something. I mean, he took over the Seahawks team, which everybody said, including myself, Seahawks were going to be done. Russell Wilson's gone. They were going to be done. They were going to have no answer quarterback, and now they're sitting in the playoffs. Not only that, but Geno Smith set the all-time passing yards record for Seattle Seahawks in the season. So he had more passing yards this year than Russell Wilson's had any season. What does that tell you? How
Makes you think.
ironic is that?
Yeah, it makes you think, is Russell Wilson actually that good?
Is it the system or is it the player?
It might be the player because he went to Buff.
That's what I'm saying.
Broncos.
Was it the system making Russell Wilson that great of a
That
player,
good.
or was it
Yeah,
him?
I think it was the system.
It makes you wonder. Makes
Yeah.
you wonder because he sure did. He was nowhere near the caliber player he was in Seattle.
No.
Let's see. Then we got the Chargers and the Broncos. Chargers played their starters a lot, and their big weapon at one of their big targets at wide receiver Mike Williams hurts his back in the game, and I haven't heard haven't heard anything since maybe I hadn't heard anything today. I know they say it was day to day, which will be a huge blow for the Chargers not to have him not there this week because they've got a big game. There's probably the best matchup in the AFC for this weekend, the Chargers and the Jaguars. Um, let's see who we got up here. Chiefs and the Raiders. You know, that one was a Saturday game, and that was terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
I did not, and I know people are going to say, "Well, you're looking too much into it," but I did not like the little circle huddle they did. Um, it really looked like you were disrespecting the Raiders and playing around. The play they called after that, though, was a pretty cool play. That just they went for a touchdown and got called back because of a holding penalty. But yeah, I didn't know the circle huddle. I've seen them do the whole. They did the whole what? One of those. I forgot what college team did a play 50 years ago. They did it in the Super Bowl that year. That was pretty cool. But this one was a little different. I mean, maybe I'm getting old and ornery in my old age, but I just didn't think that was called for. But
What did they do exactly? Like, explain it to
instead
me.
of getting in a regular huddle, they did like a circle huddle and they kept circling around. I mean, they were moving in a circle the whole time, and then they just came out of the huddle, came out of that circle, and got in their positions. It was like they were doing a little dance, and then they
Yeah.
came. Yeah, it was kind of. I mean, it's just probably just me, but I didn't like it. I mean, I thought it was. I really, and people are going to disagree with me. That's fine. Uh, I thought it was kind of disrespectful, but it's the NFL. There's been a lot worse go on
Yeah.
in the NFL than that, and people have made a big deal about it. But that's just me. I mean, they're going to find somebody for having a coin on him. And what did that hurt? But, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So then you had the big matchup for the AFC South, Titans and the Jaguars. And Josh Dobbs, who was a former Steeler, sat the bench for a while, and I know he was frustrated all those years sitting behind Ben, and he was third string quarterback, so it wasn't just behind Ben. But yeah, he actually didn't play bad, but he made a couple mistakes, an interception here, and then the big mistake. He's back to pass. He gets hit, fumbles the ball pops right into a Jacksonville Jaguar hands, and goes back for the winning touchdown as the Jaguars clinch the AFC South 20-16. So your boy Trevor Lawrence is going to be in the playoffs for the first time. Tennessee, I think they lost like 7 or 8 in a row, and they were way ahead in the AFC South. Nobody was going to be able to catch them.
No,
But
they fell fast.
everybody keeps talking about they beat the last game they won was that Sunday night game against Green Bay. And on the plane ride back, their offensive coordinator was drinking. And when he got back, he got pulled for a DUI. And ever since then, this went downhill ever since then. They were talking about it was like a curse. So I don't know. But Tennessee's Mike Vrabel, I like him as a coach. I hated to see it happen to him, but had to happen to somebody.
Yeah.
Cardinals and 49ers, J.J. Watt's last game. He's going to retire. And he gets 2 sacks in that game, which was the only bright spot for the Cardinals as the 49ers just punish him. Brock Purdy again. He's Purdy. 38-13
Purdy.
win over the Cardinals, and they are riding high into the playoffs. They haven't lost since October. So I don't know what you say about the 49ers right now. The defense plus Purdy knows how to use his weapons. He looks like a guy that's been there for a while. But I'll say this, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes too. There's a difference between playing the regular season and playoff atmosphere. That pressure, you lose, you go home. This, you can lose. You can lose, and we'll get them next week. And there is no, was it
And
Apollo Creed says in Rocky 3? There is no tomorrow. So there is no tomorrow if you lose.
win or go home.
Yep. So not the last game, the last game before we get to our team game. The Commanders taking on the Cowboys. Sam Howell, rookie quarterback from North Carolina, taking the reins for the Commanders and comes out first pass of the game, touchdown. Now he ends up throwing an interception the next pass, I think, or one of the next pass, few sooner after that. But Cowboys fans, you've got this game, and the Philadelphia Giants game is going on at the same time this game's going on. So halfway, probably after the first quarter, I'm looking on Facebook and people are making some Washington people making comments, and one of the Cowboys fans said, "Well, it's really unrealistic that the Giants are going to beat the Eagles." He was pretty much saying, "We know we don't have to win this game. We're not going to. It's not going to do us any good to win this game." I was like, "So you're telling me right now that y'all are not trying to win this game?" I said, "You've got your starters in, and they're out there not trying. They're just like they're practicing." "Oh, I didn't say that," but I was like, "That's what you insinuated until I called you out on it." Dallas looked like a team that had never set on the field for, from a botch snap on a punt to a muff punt return. And one thing that Matthew, I've never seen this happen before as long as I've been watching football. And I'm talking high school, I'm talking college, NFL, Pee Wee, whatever. I've never seen a quarterback almost throw a pick six and then come back and say, "Hey, buddy," I said, "I'm going to give you another chance at this. I'm going to throw the same pass to the same spot, see if you can do it this time." And yeah, he did. Dak Prescott throws same pass twice in a row after almost getting it picked off the first time. He said, "Well, wasn't good enough that time. Here we go." let's give him 6. And he threw a pick 6. Just looking at the numbers for Dak. Hold on. 14 for 37. That's way under 50%.
Yeah.
128 yards, one TD, one interception, and a quarterback rating of 45.8. And then the leading rusher for the Cowboys, Tony Pollard, 7 rushes for 19 yards. Total yards, 182 for the Cowboys. Under
Wow.
200. Sam Howell, I mean, he looked good. Yeah, that's probably who they'll go with in the future. He had a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown. He did have a turnover in the end zone, but that's he's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. He's not going to come out there and set the world on fire right away. But yeah, and look, the kickers couldn't kick on both sides of the ball. Missed the extra points, uh, missed field goals, but Commanders get the win. Cowboy fans, if you guys play like this Monday night, we'll we'll say I'll put it this way. I can't Matthew can't say it, but I'll save a seat right on the boat over here. We can all go fishing together.
Y'all can watch us play most likely the Eagles in the next second
Yeah, I
round
mean
playoff.
Dallas didn't score at all in the second half. Not a point. Crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, they weren't trying. That's what it
It's
was.
typical. It's typical Dallas in at this time of year.
Yep.
Typical Dallas. So last 2 games we'll talk about Giants and the Eagles, which like I said, the Giants had their B team in Davis Webb at quarterback and Gary Brightwell running the ball. So I mean, it wasn't like, and they came back and made it a game at the end, made it look respectful. Um, but yeah, the Giants knew, hey, we got nothing to gain by this game, but still gave them a good game. And Jalen Hurts comes back, doesn't really look that great. Still looks like he's a little banged up. So they need, but the Eagles really needed that bye week to get him
Mhm.
healthy. So that's why he was in there. Yeah, they get the win, 22-16. Eagles are 14-3. Your Giants 9-7-1. And Giants in the playoffs, Eagles in the playoffs, Cowboys in the playoffs, Commanders come up 1 game short of the playoffs. So you could have possibly had all 4 of the NFC East teams in the playoffs this year. But
Which Washington fans are still arguing the the last win against the Giants.
well,
Got the points from that.
what the Washington fans should really argue about is why Ron Rivera decided to put Carson Wentz in
Carson
against
Wentz in.
the Browns and keep him in the whole game. I mean,
Yeah.
and did Ron Rivera know that they could be eliminated that week after they lost to the Browns if the Packers won? He acted like he didn't know in the press conference.
He
I
said
mean,
he
that's
didn't know.
that's something you cannot
Yeah.
you have to know as a coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it, but
How don't you know?
how do you not
If
know
you
that? I mean, you got
yeah.
people all around you that that are there to make sure you know that. But somewhere, some way, he didn't know it. And I mean, what do you do with Carson Wentz now? I mean, how much dead money would that be? What kind of cap hit would that be if Washington gets rid of him next year? And he was inactive this week because Heineke was the backup for Howell. So I don't know what kind of what Ron Rivera does with Carson Wentz, but I don't think he'll be in a Commander's uniform. And there comes a time too for somebody like that when you got to say, "Hey, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep getting this big time money from
Hmm.
teams and then not not and showing them I'm not worth that kind of money. I mean, you're going to have to either call it a day, or you're going to have to just pretty much be okay with being a backup. Because I think it's got to that point with Carson Wentz now where you know you're not capable of being a starting quarterback in the NFL, and it's sad in a way because before that injury he had that year, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. He was having an MVP season, but he never was the same after that injury. Never was the same. So paper MVP, bud. Paper MVP. So
Yeah.
now, last game we'll talk about the Steelers game, which Steelers and the Browns. Steelers have to win and hope other people lose to get in, and it did not work out that way. 2 out of 3. Pittsburgh gets to win 28-14. Uh, Pickett, doesn't put up big yardage, but he's consistent. 195 yards and 1 TD. Somebody said, I was looking at a stat, and this is for some of the Pickett haters out there that I've encountered over, and I haven't heard from in a while. Uh, his quarterback rating the last 5 weeks, I think, 5 or 6 weeks, was second to Josh Allen's. He had a 90, like almost or he had a 90 quarterback rating, which is really good. Um, Najee Harris, 23 carries, 84 yards. Should have been 2 touchdowns because that first touchdown, he crossed the plane before that ball came loose, and it should have been challenged by Tomlin. Tomlin should have challenged that. I fought Tomlin for that, not challenging the fact that he broke the plane. But it is what it is. So, and you look at the Browns, Deshaun Watson, he came out in week 10. Um, still rusty, I guess, but not looking great.
Remember, I was messaging you. You
Oh
at work.
yeah. I was at work. Matthew was keeping me posted on what I tried to keep up with, like, the you keep I wasn't watching the video, but I was watching like the play by play on my phone, which it was behind a little bit, but Matthew was keeping me
Hmm.
posted on what was going on. Deshaun, what? And I'm gonna read Matthew's text to me. Let's see. Hold on. It must have been on Facebook. Yeah, it was on
Yeah, I
Facebook.
was on Messenger.
Mm, Deshaun Watson ain't no good. I said, well, yeah,
He
I'm at
ain't.
work. What's he doing? Threw an interception. He said, damn, and Watson just dropped the ball right before the half. So,
Yeah, but he did pick it back up, but still,
yeah, he picked it back up
like,
still.
but still.
So, Robert Matthew. What's up? What's up, Robert? We just got through
Hey,
talking
Robert.
about you. Just got through talking about you a few minutes ago. You're late to the party. Um,
It was all good things, except
Yeah,
for him
it
not
wasn't
listening.
anything bad this time. We were just talking about how bad your Dolphins are going to. Well, we haven't talked about that yet, but we'll get to that in a second. So, end of the regular season. Uh, it's hard to believe it went by quick. It really went by quick.
It did.
Um, but a lot of surprises. Your Giants are one of them. Jacksonville being in the playoffs, winning the AFC South. That's another one. And right now, we're going to get to this playoff schedule, and we're going to get our thoughts on each game and our picks. So this is, I mean, if you've listened to me over the years, this is my favorite weekend of football right here. There's something about the opening week of playoffs and the fact that you've got. We didn't even talk about the line. We got to go back, Matthew. I forgot
Yeah,
that
we
game.
we we did miss the Lions game.
The Sunday night game.
Yeah.
Uh, Sunday night game, Packers and Lions, Lambeau Field. Lions, of course, with the Seahawks winning, somebody won and pretty much the Lions knew they couldn't make the playoffs, but they went in there after that, going in that game, saying, "All right, we're going to knock Green Bay out of the playoffs at Lambeau Field." Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field. Nobody thought they could do it. I was skeptical. I was like, Aaron Rodgers is going to come out, and he's, if he can make the playoffs, he's going to come out firing, and it might be ugly. But guess what? Dan Campbell fooled me again. The Lions come out. Yeah, Seattle put them out. You're right, Robert. Um, but the Lions come out, and I'm looking. I'm like, they're going to hang around with this game. You let them hang around like this, they're going to win this game. And sure enough, Lions get to win 2018. Jared Goff, I mean, this guy has gone from being the scapegoat for the Rams. And the Lions, you got to think about when he was traded for Stafford to the Lions, that was pretty much, please take his contract. Please take his contract. You can do what you want to after that. And the Lions were like, okay, we'll take him. We'll use him for a year or two, and by that time we'll draft another one. I don't think they're thinking about drafting a quarterback right now. I think they're pretty happy with how he did. Hopefully he can stay that way. And I'm telling you, mark my words right now, Detroit wins the NFC North next year. They'll win the NFC North. It won't be the Vikings, won't be the Packers, and I don't care if the Packers have Aaron Rodgers back, which I don't think he'll be back.
No.
I don't care. They've got momentum now. They've got stars on both sides of the ball. If Jared Goff can keep on doing what he's doing and not turning the ball over as well as he did that this year, watch out for the Lions next year. Now I'm not just talking about the NFC North. I'm talking about they could be an NFC contender to go to the Super Bowl. You could see Detroit go to the Super Bowl for the first time next year. Where is that's another thing we haven't talked about, Matthew. There's a lot of talk coming out of, we'll talk about the coaching fire. Of course, Cliff Kingsbury gets fired a year, after the end of last year, he was given a extension, which that don't mean anything these days to coaches or players. Extensions don't mean anything. He was fired. So now the general manager has stepped down for health reasons. So now there's talk they're shopping DeAndre Hopkins. They're going to trade him. So Kyler Murray is out with ACL injury. We don't know when he'll be back next year. DeAndre Hopkins is getting shopped around. It's becoming it's falling apart in Arizona. That's all I'm going to say. Michael Harrell says the AFC Championship game it's going to be in Atlanta if the Bills and the Chiefs play it. Not right. He's saying it's not right. That game should be in an AFC city. I don't, as long as it's a central location, it's not too close to one or the other. I mean, I don't have a problem with them playing Atlanta. I mean, what difference is it going to make if it was in an AFC or NFC city there? They're not, I don't think money's going to go to the AFC versus that, but I don't see the big deal there. I think they were trying to find a central location. I think Houston turned them down. Whatever I can't remember the name of their stadium. They turned them down when they came to them. I think that was one of the first ones they came to. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, play at Atlanta or wherever. If they don't want to play it in Buffalo, I mean, Buffalo's in New York. And then you got, if it's Kansas City's there. So it's not exactly halfway for either one of them. I think it's a little bit further for Kansas City, but yeah, I think it was a good choice. I don't have a problem with that. So let's get to what we were talking about. Playoffs. Like Jim Moore said, playoffs.
Playoffs.
So like I said, my favorite weekend. So it starts off Saturday, 4:30. And we're leading off with the Seahawks and the 49ers. Now, you're going to think I'm crazy. But this could be, and I'm not saying I'm picking them, but this could be a game that is a huge upset.
Yeah.
And just because what I said earlier, Matthew, who's starting at quarterback for San Francisco? Brock Purdy. He has no playoff experience at all. He barely has a half a season under his belt. He's playing great. He's got weapons, but that playoff atmosphere is different than regular
Mm-hmm.
season. Can he handle it? That's the thing. I mean, I'm not saying I'm picking San Francisco to win, but what I'm also saying is I would not be totally shocked to see Seattle win that game. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think it's gonna be a close match. Um, Definitely gonna be a blowout. But I think Seattle. There's a chance it could be an upset, but I still think San Francisco is gonna take it.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
going. I'm definitely going with San Francisco.
yeah,
I mean, if I'm Seattle, I'm putting everything up.
pressure.
I'm putting everything up there to stop the run game at first and making Purdy. I'm giving him different looks. I'm throwing blitzes at him
Hmm.
to put the pressure on it. To, as much as that pressure is, and we'll find out what kind of quarterback is he is. Because I remember Ben's first year when they got to the playoffs and they were at home against the Jets and they won 14 in a row and almost lost that game to the Jets. Now, matter of fact, if the Jets kicker hadn't missed two kicks, two field goals, they would have lost that game. And it was a different. And Ben said it's a whole different kind of atmosphere in playoff, even at home. And the 49ers are at
True.
home, but it's a whole different atmosphere when you're at home. So the nightcap game, which this will be the second week in a row that Jacksonville is playing the nightcap game on Saturday night at Jacksonville, Florida. They'll be pumped up at Jacksonville, but the Chargers at the Jaguars. I'm
I'm
gonna
looking
get you
forward to
picked.
this
Let's
game.
see who. Let's see who you think. What you think first.
It's gonna be a good game. I'm going for Chargers though.
Oh,
I think Chargers gonna pull it off.
you know, I think I'm gonna go with Jacksonville. Uh, for the reason it depends on if Mike Williams is able to go. I think he's a big key in that game. Jacksonville demolished them in the regular season, 38-10, and I can't remember if that was at Jacksonville or at L.A. But
I think that was in
Jacksonville
LA.
demolished them, which Herbert was coming off that rib injury, so that was key there. I think it will be a good game, but I'm going with Jacksonville. I think I'm going with the Cinderella story. I think Jacksonville is going to
Yeah.
pull it out. All right. So Sunday, you got 3 games Sunday. Um,
Three
First
games
game,
Sunday.
yeah, you got
Oh,
three
okay.
Sunday.
All right.
Two, you got 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and 1 Monday night.
Okay.
Um, so the opening game, Dolphins at the Bills. Robert, if you're still there, bud,
I'm saying the Bills.
I'm shaking my head. I'm sorry for you, bud, because Skylar Thompson, he's no Josh Allen, and it looks like I haven't heard for sure, but it looks like the way I'm hearing they're preparing for Skylar Thompson to be the start quarterback, and
Very scary.
with Buffalo at home playing the way they are, and with DeMar Hamlin, they're still they're still emotional about that. I think there's no way Skylar Thompson pulls this out, pulls the upset. That would be the biggest upset in NFL history if they won that game right there. A third string quarterback marching into Buffalo and winning that game. But yeah, I think Buffalo's too strong. I think Buffalo gets a win. What about you, Matthew?
I don't think Dolphins ain't the same team without Tua.
No.
Um, and the Bills, I think the Bills, like you said, just got way more talent at the moment. They're strong. They're emotional. They're going to go in and win that football game.
Yep. Yep, I agree. So, 4:30 game. Matthew,
Giants.
Giants and the Vikings.
Giants going to win. That's all I'm saying.
Giants, Giants going to win.
Yep, Giants going
Man
to
is
win, and
confident.
it's going to be by, I'm going to say, a field goal.
Hmm.
30-20. No. Yep, 30-27. So I'm
So
sticking
you
with.
think it's going to be role reversal from what it was the last time when they met in the regular season when the Vikings hit a 62-yard field goal to win it at the end of the game. So you think it's going to be the exact opposite this time?
Yep,
It's
I
the
do. I
Giants
think
going to. I'm going to
we're
go
not.
with the.
Hmm?
I'm going to go with the Giants, and you may hate me for that because I may jinx you. But like I said, I'm not impressed at all with the Vikings. You know,
No.
you got Jefferson, and I've yet to see anything else that you got that's going to make the difference in that game. I think the Giants pull the upset, and it's a slight upset in my mind. I
Yeah.
think the Giants pull the upset, and the Vikings go home, and they
And
go
and,
back.
and here's another reason why I think we're going to have a better advantage this time. Told you earlier last week. I mean last was it week 16 when we played them. We had control of the whole game,
Yeah,
offensive and defensive. We got a lot of our key players back, like a Dory Jackson and Leonard Williams possibly playing. They haven't actually said he was or not, but if them two players come back, I think we can. I think we can stop them. We're a lot healthier now.
okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the AFC games on Sunday are not going to be pretty because you got inexperienced quarterbacks going up against top of the line quarterbacks. And this game, the nightcap is no different. The Ravens at the Bengals, we just talked about it. Lamar Jackson not going to be able to give it a go. So Huntley is going to be starting at quarterback for the Ravens against Joe Burrow for the Bengals. And you talk about teams on a hot streak. The Bengals are on a hot streak right now, and this is a rematch from last week. And I don't think anything will be any different except maybe the Bengals will put it on them a little bit more this time. But yeah, the Bengals got the 27-16 win on Sunday. So I mean, I'm not looking at anything. I don't think it's no contest here. I think the Bengals get
Uh,
the win.
I think the Bengals get the win too. Joe Burrow is just outstanding. I think he's a great quarterback.
As bad as they started off, they
Yeah,
caught
this season.
fire. They caught fire at the right time. They're peaking at the
Yep.
right time. And who knows? I mean, you'll never know. They could and they should be. I'd be out there with a chip on my shoulder right now because don't get me wrong when I say it. The circumstances with the Buffalo Cincinnati game was something they'd never seen before.
Yeah.
But if that game had kept on playing, you don't ever know. Cincinnati had scored a touchdown and they were driving down the field for another one when everything happened. You don't ever know, but it looked like Cincinnati was putting it to Buffalo at the start of that game. And I know they could make adjustments, things could happen, but we'll never know. But uh, Cincinnati is definitely peaking at the right time and
Oh yeah.
beating the Chiefs again during the regular season. I think they're headed the right direction. I think it's a done deal. Bengals over Ravens, no problem. And it
Hope
doesn't
so.
hurt me to say that at all.
Yeah.
um, and then the Monday night game, which is hard to get used to a Monday night playoff game. I don't know about you. I think they did it last year, but yeah, yeah, we'll get to that. I'll get to that in a minute, Robert. Robert's asking. It's a wrestling question, Matthew, about the
uh,
WWE being for sale. Uh, but
oh yeah.
yeah, Cowboys at Tampa Bay. Brady, the GOAT, possibly Brady's last game. What do you think?
I hope not. I mean, only because I don't want Dallas to go any
Is this his
further.
last? Do you think he hangs it up after this year though? Whenever he gets finished,
I'm not sure. I really don't. It's hard to tell with Tom Brady. I'd
I'll
hate to
say
say he's
this.
leaving because he might leave and come back again. You don't. I
I'll
don't. I just don't know.
I'll say this. I think it's his last. This will be his last. I mean, I don't think it's his last game because obviously what I'm going to be picking in a second. Um, I think it's his last go round with Tampa Bay. I think he'll be with somebody different next year if he's back at all.
If who do you think would pick him up? I mean, be honest with you, I don't know if I was a coach, I wouldn't want to pick him up.
Why?
I just wouldn't. He's 45 years old.
He was over 40 when Tampa Bay picked him up.
Yeah, I know
You
that,
don't
but
look. Let me. You the whole thing in a nutshell depends on Sean Payton.
yeah,
I
that's
believe
true.
that Sean
Yeah,
Payton. If Sean Payton goes to a team that needs a quarterback, then I think Brady ends up there because that was the plan for Miami. That was the whole deal with the tampering issue with Miami that year. So I really think it depends on where Peyton goes.
I can see that. I could.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm going Tampa Bay in this game. I think the Cowboys go one and done again.
I'm right there with you. I think Tampa's gonna pull it out. Especially if Dallas plays like they did last
Oh,
week
if they
against
play like they did
Washington.
Sunday, it'll be a blowout. I
Yeah,
mean, it won't
it
be
will.
close.
I
But
mean, because I don't care if you were trying or not. I would not have let Washington beat us like that.
no,
No
I
matter if
mean
it.
they
I
were
was full.
trying. I mean,
Yeah, they
people
were trying.
people can
Yeah,
say what they want to. They were trying. There's no doubt in my mind. Um, yeah, don't give me that crap.
yeah, yeah,
So that's the wild card recap for us. Hopefully I think we picked one different. I think that was
yeah.
the Jaguars and the Chargers. I think that was the only difference there. So I'll be pulling hard for the Jaguars Saturday night, excuse me. Um, Getting to what Robert was talking about, and Matthew, I don't know how close you follow wrestling, if you're a wrestling fan or what, but earlier this week, Vince McMahon came back, made himself chairman on the board again, and the rumor was he came back so he could sell the WWE, and that's going to happen. Uh, there's a there's a list of potential buyers. Disney was one, Hulu. Um, Actually, today, and I don't know how true this is, even their competition, the AEW, was listed as a potential buyer. But there's also it's a Saudi group because the WWE goes over and does pay per views over in Saudi Arabia.
Hmm.
But there's a group over there that it was rumored night before last that it was already sold, and that rumor was not true. So they're still, you all right?
Yeah. Just blind. That's all.
Well, okay. I heard a boom. When you hear a boom,
Just blind. That's all.
okay. But yeah, I don't know if they'll sell it to the Saudis. There's a lot of talk about Robert. I don't know if you're still listening or not, but there's a lot of talk if that does get sold to the Saudis that they would. There was a lot of wrestlers that would leave. Uh, as far as Stephanie goes, Stephanie was the CEO while Vince was out. But if you remember, before all that happened, before Vince went out, Stephanie was getting ready to take a leave. She was getting ready to take like a leave of absence.
Hmm.
And uh, now I don't think it was ironic, and I don't know if the leave of absence was all. Oh, he's back, so I can take my leave out. I think it was more like I don't know, Robert. I think something's going on there with between Stephanie and Vince. Vince comes back, Stephanie steps down, steps away from WWE. Um, what I'm hearing, a lot of people were like, Vince is going to come back and screw everything up, and it's going to be like it was before. I'm hearing, and I find it hard to believe from the rumors I'm hearing that he is not going to be able to. He's not going to mess with creative. That's Triple H's baby. Look, Vince McMahon is one of the biggest egomaniacs you ever see. That's his baby. WWE is his baby. He stepped away, and it was under some bad circumstances that he stepped away, and that's why I find it so hard to believe that it was so easy for him to come back. Which there's a lawsuit uh, being that was filed against Vince by one of the shareholders um, for that reason. But I think Vince thought I'm going to step away from this, and then they're going to beg me to come back because it's going to struggle.
Hmm.
And when you give something up, and then you see you're like, okay, and then you see it thriving, doing better without you. This company that he has put so much time and money and dedication into for the last 30, 40 years, maybe more, and it's doing better. And you're hearing all this stuff about, oh God, it's doing better. It's WWE is looking better again. People are watching again, and you kind of get like, okay, and somebody like Vince with that ego, he can't handle that. He said, okay, I'm coming back over, take over again, at least before they sell it. But I don't know. It's a lot of uncertainty right now about what's going on. You're going to hear everything in the world, all the rumors, like the AEW rumor, like they're one of the potential buyers. Tony Khan is uh, in that Khan family that owns Jacksonville. They are loaded, but I don't think Vince would sell to his competition. I think that was like when they bought WCW. WWE bought WCW back in the day. That would uh, that would be just like that. I don't think Vince wants to be on the short end of that. I think his ego is too big and his pride's too big for that to happen. Disney takes over. Robert says Disco Inferno and the Shockmaster are tag team. Huh. Those are two characters right there. The Shockmaster, of course, one of the worst entrances in professional wrestling. Disco Inferno, one of the worst gimmicks in wrestling, right there. Um, yeah, but yeah, it should be interesting the next few weeks to see what goes on with WWE.
Well, Stevie, the thing that intrigues me about Stephanie McMahon buying it, the only thing that I like about it is she said she was going to bring back the Attitude Era.
Well, see, that was okay.
But that's
Stephanie,
the thing between her and Vince, I think.
yeah, Stephanie came
Yeah.
back after Vince left. Triple H took over creative again, and it's been headed that direction for a while. Like the Attitude
Yeah.
Era was gonna. It's kind of getting to that place again, but now I don't know. I don't know if it'll happen now with her leaving. I know Triple H is still in charge, but you know, there's no question that all these guys that left WWE and went to AEW or went somewhere else when Vince was there, and then when Triple H. I mean, you look at Steve Regal, William Regal. Excuse me, not Steve Regal. William Regal um, left, went to AEW as like a trainer, backstage guy, but he was an on-air personality too. But as soon as Vince was gone and Triple H took over, because him and Triple H were pretty good friends. Um, he puts in his notice with AEW, and the day he could be back with WWE, he came back. And his son, mostly because his son is a wrestler for WWE, he wants to be there with him. But I mean, I don't think it's no coincidence he decided to come back when Vince was gone. Robert says Disco Inferno and Alex Wright was the first live match I ever witnessed. and I am sorry for you, bud. I'm surprised you watched. I'm surprised you kept watching wrestling after that. Das Wonder Kid. Yeah, Alex Wright. Wonder where he's at. I did see Alex Wright on Facebook. He's over in Germany doing a wrestling school. So, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. There's, Royal Rumble's coming up in 2 weekends. It was a dark match. Yeah, well, it was a dark match. All right, it should have been a dark match. Which the bad thing was, Robert, that was probably a match on Nitro several times. Yeah, the good old days when you had Nitro and Raw on at the same time, and had to flip back and forth. Well, man, I miss them days. But so anything else on your mind, Matthew?
No. Who do y'all got winning the Super Bowl this year, coming in the playoffs? Who do y'all got?
Ooh, ooh, mm.
We can compare this later.
I'm looking. I'm thinking.
I'm gonna go and put
Oh,
mine out there. I
on the
know what you said
NFC.
about uh
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I know what you said about Purdy, but I can see San Francisco and Cincinnati playing.
That was one of the things that just popped in my head.
Really? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I got.
if Cincinnati, they'll beat the Ravens, and I don't know who they match up with after that. Um, it would have to be Buffalo because,
Yeah,
yeah, ooh, ooh, boy, Cincinnati against Buffalo in the second round, and Kansas City versus Jacksonville. Kansas City beats Jacksonville.
yeah.
Robert says Kansas City and San Francisco. I don't think Kansas City makes it
I
because
don't think so either.
both teams have it's have Kansas City's number. Buffalo's got Kansas
Yep.
City's number after this year, and definitely Cincinnati's got Kansas City's number. Oh gosh, this is tough. I'm going Buffalo and San Francisco right now. I'm going to Chris Berman pick. I don't know if maybe you may be too young to remember, Matthew, but back in the early '90s, every year Chris Berman from ESPN, his Super Bowl picks every year was Buffalo and San Francisco in the Super Bowl. So I'm going to Chris Berman pick. I'm going to go Buffalo and San Francisco. And if Purdy gets through this first game and does okay, I think that'll, as far as the pressure goes,
Yeah.
it's going to get worse every week. But if he can get that first game out and do pretty well, I think he'll be all right. So
I think so too.
Buffalo and San Francisco is who I'm going with right now. So Robert's got Kansas City separate. And we're going to look when it gets time to the Super Bowl. We said this earlier. The week before the Super Bowl, even the 2 weeks, because there's 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, we're going to start taking predictions for the Super Bowl game. And if you win, Purdy will. That's right, Robert. Uh, if you win, you'll get a final score T-shirt. So the closest one, we have to have the score. Uh, and you have to have the closest to the score and the closest to you have to have the winner, of course. The closest
Yeah.
score if it will be the tiebreaker. So we'll do that. We'll start that after the AFC and NFC championship games. Sound good to you, Matthew?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. So we'll leave you guys with this week. Enjoy this weekend. Like I said, it's the best, my opinion, the best weekend of football. I mean, you've got from 1 o'clock Saturday. Well, no, from 4:30 Saturday till 10 o'clock. So that's going to be 7 hours of football and then from 1 o'clock to maybe 11 o'clock on Sunday. And I mean, I'm not talking about crappy games. I'm talking about hopefully this thing will be a TCU game, but you just got great games all weekend. And last year, and it'll be, look, let me tell you, last year was the best. This weekend of football was the best weekend of football I can remember in a long time. And so it's got a lot to live up to compare to last year. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Matthew, as always, been a great time. And, I'll be pulling for you Giants this weekend.
I appreciate it. We need it. Make some noise if
I'm
you
gonna
need
wear
me
a
to.
Giant. I'm gonna wear a Giants jersey. I'm
I
gonna
want
wear.
to say if you need me to get you one, I can definitely get you one.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
All right.
I don't need a Giants jersey. I can't
All
even
right.
say. And look, that's something we got to do too. When season's over with, we're gonna get into our top 10 list, and we're gonna have a lot of special guests on. Robert, if you want to come on, I know you're a big Dolphins fan. We can get your top 10 Dolphins, favorite Dolphins. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to do it either. It's whoever your favorite is. But I know Robert will not do it. He'll say, "I don't want to get on. Nobody see me on here. I don't want to talk."
Well, ain't nobody got to see. You can't see me. So I mean, I'm the co-host and you can't see me. So
Yeah, look at
don't
that.
feel bad.
And believe me, that was Matthew's choice, not ours.
Well, now Stevie told me he was like, "Nah, I'd love for you to be the co-host and everything, but I've seen you. I've seen you a couple times, and I've been scarred ever since. And I would like to keep my followers." So
Yeah,
I agreed.
I had to
I agreed.
black out the screen. Matthew doesn't know. I
Yeah,
blacked out the screen all the time.
yeah. We'll
Matthew,
put like
you
a
do.
put. Huh?
Robert's asking. There's a guy on the Giants that played for Hertford County, right?
No,
You didn't?
no.
I thought you knew that. He went to Hertford County.
Who?
Oh gosh, what's his name, Robert? I can't remember his name now, but yeah, he's a defense. He's like a linebacker. Hold on, Robert probably beat me to it, and O'Shane, number 53, O'Shane Zimenez, whatever his name
Oh,
is.
O'Shane Zimmerman.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
played at
Oh,
Hertford County.
I didn't know that. He taught me something.
So Robert, you got him, bud.
And
I
Robert, this is
thought you
why.
knew that.
No, and Robert, this is why you need to be on the show so you can teach everybody
We
else
need to
other
bring
stuff.
Robert on.
Yeah, yeah.
Robert is like the. I told Robert he was gonna be like the official research guy for us. So I mean, he's living up to his reputation right now. He just told Matthew something
Yep.
about his favorite team that he did not know.
Yep. I'm sure he's got some stuff about the Steelers too.
Jakari, the guy from another guy from Hertford County that went to he ended up setting all kind of records at Wake Forest. I think he's signed with the Rams now. Am I right, Robert? I thought I saw that this week. He's signed with the Rams because he started off with Pittsburgh. Kerry Robinson, yeah, I think he's with the Rams now. He started off with Dallas at the start of the year. Then Dallas cut him, and Pittsburgh picked him up for a little while. And then I think I saw this week he went to the Rams.
That
But
reminded me real fast, and let it go. James Washington. You've seen him play.
James Washington, yep,
I
former
don't know much
Pittsburgh
about
Steeler.
him. I don't know much about him. I've looked up some stuff about him, and I think he looks very athletic. What do you think? How was he with the Steelers? He looked pretty
He was a
good.
good go-to guy when we had him. He was out of Oklahoma State. They drafted
Mm-hmm.
him. Uh, gosh, I can't remember how many years ago. Ben
It's like
liked him. I think Ben
2017.
really liked him, but he was kind of overshadowed when Deontay Johnson got there, and then Claypool got there. He kind of got pushed to the side a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, he as far as making Washington used to make those catches when you need like a first down on third down. He was the one that Ben went to. I think he'll be good. I hated to see him leave Pittsburgh. I know he went to Dallas and broke his foot, had foot surgery, was out for most of the year, and then Dallas cut him because they needed an offensive lineman or something like that on the roster, and they cut him, and the Giants picked him up. So, uh, yeah, I think he could help you if he's
Oh
healthy.
yeah,
If
definitely.
he's
Especially
healthy, he can help you.
we need a playmaker on third down. We need one of them third down playmakers.
Yeah, I think he can help you. I don't. I liked him when he was at Pittsburgh. Like I said, I hated to see him go.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
That's the way the cookie
Um,
crumbles. Like Walter
That's right.
Cronkite. That's the way the cookie crumbles. All right. Matthew, any last words? Oh, crickets? Matthew's gone. Oh my God. Where did Matthew go? I didn't do it. Matthew lost. We lost Matthew. Hope we'll wait to see if he comes back around. Robert, you still out there? So Jakari was with Kansas City. He's been with Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Dallas, now with Rams. When I said Matthew, any last words, I didn't mean to go, Matthew. No. Let's see if he's up here. I'm looking for him on Facebook. No. Who's better, Brandon Jacobs or if Matthew comes back? Brandon Jacobs, of course, was the big running back for the Giants back in it. I think he was there for both Super Bowls they beat. Oh, Derrick Henry, man. Derrick Henry's better. I'm sorry, Matthew, but that's Brandon Jacobs was good, but he wasn't that dominant running back like Henry has been. He didn't put up yards like Derrick Henry, and I mean, but he was still good though. I did like Brandon Jacobs. Anyway, here's Matthew. We're going to let him come back in.
All right, I'm in.
What did you do?
My phone died.
I said, any last words? And you were like, bloop, gone. I said, I didn't mean your last words, bud.
Gone like a freight train.
All right. While you were gone, this is good. We'll do this before we leave. Robert asked, who's better, Derrick Henry or Brandon Jacobs?
Ooh.
Come on now.
I gotta go with Brandon Jacobs.
What?
Yeah, I gotta go with Brandon Jacobs. I grew
Matthew,
up
come on.
I grew up watching him play, so he was the first running back I knew really for the Giants.
I grew up watching Franco Harris, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna think he's better than Barry Sanders.
Brandon Jacobs. Brandon Jacobs.
You heard it right there, Robert. Matthew says Brandon Jacobs.
And I'm sticking to it. I don't care if you line up 1,000 Giant fans and they all say Derrick Henry. I'm saying Brandon Jacobs.
Listen to my boy. He's sticking with his boys.
That's my story.
He's one of those homers. All right. That's going to do it for this week, guys. Next week, we'll recap this wild card weekend of the NFL, and we'll do our picks for the divisional round. And hopefully your team wins, unless you're a Baltimore fan. If you're a Baltimore fan, then I hope you go home. So, and you probably will. All right, Matthew, I'm gonna say it again, but don't get kicked out of here when I say any last words, Matthew.
Nope. Thank you everybody for watching, and get y'all's Super Bowl predictions in and all your other predictions in, and thank you for listening and tuning in.
All right, Robert, stat guy. We're gonna get out of here. So don't be. You can stop. You can stop your job. We're not paying you overtime this week.
No, but we'll get your check deposited by next week.
Checks in the mail.
Yep.
Bicycle. Yep, bicycle. All right, guys. Y'all have a great week, and that's the final score.